Let's talk more about it. Richard Johnson is in Lancaster, England. He's a lecturer in U.S. politics and international relations at Lancaster University. Richard, always good to have you with us. Thanks for giving us the time, and good morning to you. Well, the president promised a shutdown if his border wall wasn't funded, and he said it would be on him if that happened. Well, he got his wish. However, now he's blaming Democrats for the shutdown. Who's looking worse here?
Well, they're talking to different audiences, and that's the key thing to always remember with President Trump, is that he is first and foremost thinking about his base. Nearly 9 in 10 Republicans support a border wall, and 2/3 of Republicans in a recent poll said that they would support shutting down the federal government to get that border wall. So even though a majority of Americans don't support a border wall at all, and certainly don't support a government shutdown to achieve one, when it comes to the voters about whom Trump cares the most, Republican primary voters and his key supporters in those key states, he's delivering for them, or he's doing what he thinks they want him to do. And that's the key thing to remember.
Right. And let's talk now about how we got here and who might have prompted the president to stick to his guns. He was reportedly influenced by conservative commentators who chastised him severely for not demanding funding for the wall midweek. Let's take a listen.
The Republicans are bowing down. Apparently, there's no way, even though we can allocate whatever money we need for criminal justice reform or Planned Parenthood or whatever the hell else liberal cause is clamoring for your tax dollars.
It'll just have been a joke presidency that scammed the American people, enraged, amused the populace for a while, but he'll have no legacy whatsoever.
And we know how closely President Trump follows these commentators. So despite Republicans and Democrats initially working out a deal to keep government going and the president agreeing, he then changed his mind. He balked. How does that make the president look, strong or weak? And again, I know what you're going to say. Well, it depends on who we're talking about.
Well, and that's it. I mean, I think one thing that is interesting is that I think that the president clearly has these almost, what we would, call in Europe as called a sort of whipping system, a party whipping system, ideological whipping system, which goes on in the conservative media, where if, Trump, I think, is at the end of the day a fairly ideologically flexible individual, and we can just look at the positions he's taken on various matters at different times in his life. But I think that he has this conviction, this sense that he is there because in the White House because he took these particular lines on these particular issues, particularly immigration and border security. And I think that these commentators serve to remind him of that and to sort of make sure that he falls back into line. Now, as a matter of leadership, that may not look particularly inspiring, but on the other hand, as a matter of, well, at least Trump believes is the correct political calculus for his survival. It's not necessarily a crazy strategy to have.
Right. And so the question is, where does this go from here? The holidays are here, Christmas a few days away, and the government is partially shut down. What do you think will be the fallout from the American people over this situation?
Well, I think in the past, it used to be clearer that the American public would identify a key set of actors and blame them for the shutdown. And it was usually Congress would get the blame for the shutdown. I think that we've moved into such a polarized context in American politics now that I think that Democrats will blame President Trump and Republicans will blame congressional Democrats. And so in the end, it becomes a kind of an impasse. The longest shutdown was the 1995 shutdown. That lasted for 3 weeks, 21 days. Donald Trump said that he imagines this shutdown could last for a very long time. I think he actually wants it not to last for very long because when the Democrats take control of the House in January, they gain a lot more leverage on this than they currently have. Their leverage at the moment is just their ability to filibuster in the Senate. And when they have control of the House, it's going to be much more difficult for Donald Trump to get anything close to what he's asking for at the moment.
We always appreciate your insights. Richard Johnson joining us from Lancaster. Thank you, Richard.